Uh, I don't actually believe that I was able to stay all these years, and sometimes I'm wondering how great is our Lord to keep us here working day and night, and with a lot, of course, of challenges, a lot of difficulties, many diseases, especially the first 10 years. I was getting a lot of tropical diseases, but I thank God. I'm still alive, and I'm still working, although very recently I was operated, and people were already thinking that I might not come back. And the news were spread that the Archbishop is very sick, he's in the hospital, he was operated, he will spend some time in the hospital, etc. It is true, but as humans, these are, I think, are part of our normal ways of life. So I thank God that I'm still here, and I feel after the, of course, operation that now I am resurrected back to my normal life. Finally, after all, I have made my own, let us say, conclusion that nothing is possible without the presence of God. And I believe very deeply that God is the one who is planning for each and everybody of us. I have no doubt about it, because from the first beginning, actually, when I came here, myself, I was having a different plans in my life, perhaps because I was young. And when you are young, you are making a lot of enthusiastic, let us say, decisions in your life, who sometimes are not realistic, But finally, God is there, and God is taking care, and God knows better than us what is the most appropriate thing to do in our lives. So let us allow Him to do His work. God knows better than us. So this is what I feel myself after all these years, that although I was somehow doubting whether I will make it, because I had no idea what it was all about when I was here in Africa. In our youth, of course, we were watching Africa, the wild animals, the elephants, giraffe. This is how I was imagining Africa. But finally, I was able. Actually, I was sent here to come and see whether I will like it or not. And finally, I came, and from the first day of my arrival, already I made my mind, and I can say that God again was there, and the Holy Spirit, and also my spiritual fathers, a number of them now are canonized in the Orthodox Church. So I'm sure the way I was actually thinking is the way I have seen them throughout my life here in Africa. It is as if Jesus Christ was holding my hand and I was following Him. Although, as I said before, there were many challenges and a lot of diseases, a lot of operations, and I thank God that at my age I am still strong, and I see that God is giving me again new energies, to continue my pastoral work and mission work here in Africa. Unfortunately, I never met my father. My father died when I was 1.5 years old. So I know about my father through my mother. Yes, that's all. So which means that I was brought up without a father. And one of the reasons why I am so close to the people here, and especially the seminarians, because here in Africa we find that women are giving birth, but there is no father. Usually they become pregnant, but the father of the child ran away. So you can imagine how many stories I know about the people here, and they are coming here in my office to tell me how difficult it is for them to grow without a father. Of course, I have my personal experience, and I am able to speak to them and to give them a lot of hope and a lot of encouragement, because I never thought that myself one day I will be an archbishop because of the very special circumstances where I was brought up. But as I said before, there is an invisible power in our lives, and that invisible power is actually the presence of God. And God himself is opening ways always for us. From, let us say, the age of 15, it is when I had the first experience when I went to Jerusalem to study in the secondary school there of the Patriarchate of Jerusalem, and without knowing, of course, that I was talking every day, because the father who was in charge of us in the Patriarchate was a Cypriot monk, and today he is the very well-known hieromartyr Philumenos. We became friends, and after, because we were coming from the same place, he was also a Cypriot, you know, so he invited me to follow him where he was celebrating the Divine Liturgy every Sunday. So I was going with him. I was an altar boy, and while himself he was celebrating the Divine Liturgy, and then at the same time myself I was receiving every Sunday the Holy Communion, the precious body and blood of Jesus Christ, and finally he became my father confessor. Of course, I never knew that I was talking to a holy man. I was very innocent. But I found in my diaries quoting something which myself I wrote to him when I left Jerusalem, how much I was missing him, how much I was missing his advices, and how much he assisted me spiritually. And I was telling him in a very innocent way that, Father, when I was there with you, you gave me the impression that you are not like the other fathers I know, but you look as if you are a holy man. So you can imagine now the feelings of a young man, the way I was at the age of 15, 16, meeting a holy man, and in my mind, because of the way he was treating me and the way I saw him giving me advice and how to fight, different temptations, because of my age, he was giving me the impression that he was a real saint. So this is how I was feeling that he was always with me. And when I was in, let us say, a difficult times in my life, I was bringing him in my mind. If Father Philomenos was here, I'm sure he could give me an advice what to do to overcome the challenges of my life. So I was in peace throughout. And I was, although I don't say that my life was calm or there were no difficulties and challenges and temptations, but when I was in such situations, I was always bringing him, and I was feeling as if he was assisting me to come back to my normal life, as if I was doing always the things which he was telling me when I was a young man. Let me use a very good word in Greek, synergasia. Synergasia means cooperation, as if those minds were working together. Of course, it is something I feel supernatural. We might think that it is not possible, but the way I was experiencing different periods of my life, I thought and I believe that there was a very deep spiritual cooperation and understanding between my mind and the mind of my spiritual father. It is as if we were working together. So you can imagine now how, I don't say how easy was my life, but how wonderful was that God really kept me in such a way that finally the plans which were there, I'm sure, from the very beginning, were finally fulfilled through that direction of a spiritual father. And through prayers, of course, and through the intervention of the Holy Spirit. When I was a young man, let us say from the age of 14, 15 there, when I started learning music, I made up my mind that one day I will be a very famous musician. So I had that plan myself now. I was planning that one day I might become a very famous musician, playing the piano, and even thinking that I might direct an orchestra. So this was my dream now. This was actually my own plan in my mind. And so when I was 20 years of age, after fulfilling my national service in the army, in our country is compulsory, the national service in the army. So I went to the army, and then after that I decided to go and start my studies in music in the famous College of Holy Trinity in London. And I became a student. I was having my daily lessons in piano, and I was progressing. I was very happy. And finally, I met some of my compatriots there, and I was asking them in those days, do you know any spiritual father here in England? Because myself, I want to have one, to go and speak to him, to ask for confession. So my compatriots, they told me that there is one Russian, very famous confessor, where ourselves we are going every weekend. And we are going there for the weekend, and we are participating during the evening services, during the night, which was for me something very unusual. I have not seen it before in my life. The Composini, you know, the Jesus prayer, which they were done in that monastery. So I was taken there. And finally, they introduced me to my future father confessor, who was then, as known, Father Sophrony Zakharov, very well known, of course, in those families, Cypriot families. And so I went for a confession to him. And my first, actually, I remember it very well, the first question Father Sophrony asked me was, what are you doing here in England? Why you have come all the way from Cyprus and you are now here in England? I told him I am here because I want to become a musician. This is what I have in my mind. And of course, speaking to him, I saw his face, and I saw also the movement which he did. He did like this, shaking his head like that, and telling me that it's a good idea. I myself, I began my career as an artist in Paris, and I love very much people who are interested in artists. I mean, to become a musician, to become an artist, drawing, etc. I have nothing against them, those who are following this kind of life, but for you, I feel that God has another plan. So this was my first acquaintance with him. I was somehow very much surprised, or even I was shocked, because he was telling me that God had another plan. There is another plan from God. I could not understand. I was very young, and I knew nothing about the plan of God. I was not aware of such things. So I reacted very negatively by telling him that no, I myself, I will become a musician. Nobody can change my plans. Again, he did this. And I left him there. So coming every week and for confession every week, we were following the Russian style, you know. Before you receive the Holy Communion, you have to go for confession. So I was doing it. And the father, confessor, Saint Sophorony now, he was reminding me whether I thought about his idea that God is planning something else for you. So after some time, I thought that why he is insisting so much to follow that plan of God. Perhaps he knows something. So I decided to ask him, and what is the plan of God? Yes, you have been telling me every week that God has another plan. And finally I decided to ask you, what is the plan of God about my future life? And he answered to me by saying that God really is preparing you to become a good theologian, Orthodox theologian. So you can imagine now my reaction. So I stood up and I said to him, you mean from musician, I am planning myself to be a musician. Now God is planning for me to become a theologian. Impossible. You know, that shows that I was completely naive myself, without knowing that I was talking to a holy man who already, he knew what will be my life. I'm sure because he insisted so much. So I went again, and I was bringing those moments in my mind, thinking that perhaps he's right. Why he's insisting so much? Perhaps he knows something, and I decided to go and tell him that now myself I am ready to follow that plan of God. So tell me what to do. So I went back to him, and he immediately told me that, you know, we have a Russian theological institute in Paris, where myself, I was a student after the revolution, which theological institute, was established by the Russians, those who left Russia after the revolution, and it is a good place. And the professors who are there are still alive from those years, and they are very, very good professors. And I am planning next year to send a number of my monks from the monastery here. 3 of them, or 4, are going to study there. So perhaps it is the right time also for you to follow them, to be with them. So then I said to him, okay, I will prepare myself, and I will go with them. So all of us, we went, without knowing, of course, who is who, and who will become in the future. And at the end, one of the monks, by then he was a deacon himself, he became actually the successor of Father Sophrony. When the father, became very old, he took over the administration of the monastery in Essex. And Deacon Raphael, who was a Romanian, he became, and he is today, a very famous starets, spiritual father in Romania, Father Raphael Noica, who is the son of one of the famous professors of philosophy in Romania in those days, because Romania also was under the communism, and he's there, I know, and he's a very famous father, starets, as they say in Russian. And the other one was a layman, my compatriot from Cyprus, Father Zacharias. Father Zacharias also is a very famous spiritual father all over the world. He has written so many books, and he's well known, and he's traveling a lot to meet his spiritual children, and at the same time to give lectures to the people in different countries. So here we are. We left the monastery, all of us. We went to the Russian Theological Seminary, and I was trying to explain to Father Sophrony that it will be very difficult for me to study because I don't know Russian, and all the professors are Russians, so they will be teaching us in Russian language. I think it will be very difficult for me because I know nothing about Russian language. But then he described in this way the situation that because of my young age, I will be able to learn very easily the language. So I finally accepted his idea, and I went. And it was exactly, because when we first went there for the first term now, we were doing the Russian language every day. We had a teacher, a very nice teacher of Russian language. He was the wife of a Russian professor of the New Testament. So when we went back to the monastery, after finishing the first term, Father was trying to see how much I know. And of course, he was very happy that at least I was able to make a simple conversation with him in Russian. You see, so he told me, you see, I told you, because you are a young man, you will be able to learn the language very easily. So that was, of course, also for me something new in my life, and I have to say that that Russian language assisted me in my future life so much, because I became a regular visitor of the Soviet Union. In those days, I was visiting, I was very excited, because I was able to communicate directly with the people. And of course, there were other instances in my life which assisted me to meet all the future patriarchs of Moscow. It is true, assisted me because 5 years, we spent 5 years in that theological seminary in Paris. So finally we were able to complete our studies in theology. But during that time, there was an international meeting in Boston when I was myself in the 4th year, in 1971, around there. And the rector and the professors of our theological seminary decided that I should go and represent our seminary in America. So I was chosen to go there, and I went. And that meeting was the meeting of Syndesmos. Syndesmos is the international organization for the Orthodox youth all over the world. So you can imagine now how many different people came to attend that very important assembly. It was the General Assembly of Syndesmos. So going there, of course, I met young people from all over the world. And among those young people, there was one very special young man who could not communicate with us in English, but only in Russian language. He was also a seminarian in the then Leningrad Theological Academy. So we became friends because he could not communicate with other people. So because of my knowledge of the language, we became friends. So finally, after the meeting, we decided to stay in America for a month and go around the country to visit different places in America. So you can imagine, we are the same age actually. We were 24 years of age, very young. So we had that dream to go in different places in America. So we went, we spent the month traveling, but we became friends at the end, without knowing, of course, how God plans were, isn't it, for us. Now, that young man who became my best friend during that meeting is the present Patriarch of Moscow, Kirill. You see? So this is in this way I started now communicating with him, and he himself, he became, when he was still very young, actually, he became the youngest bishop in the then Soviet Union. So in this way, we actually started, both of us, our future lives. Now we were qualified theologians, isn't it? So I went back to Father Sophrony, and I was really ready to return back to Cyprus, because my mission was now to go and teach. I graduated with a very good distinction from the Russian Theological Seminary. So all of us, we went back to the monastery, and we presented, our degrees to the father, and the father was very happy. And not only that, myself, I became number one among those who were sent with us from the monastery to study. And the father, of course, was laughing by telling me, you see, you are doubting that you will not make it because you don't know Russian enough. But you see now how God is planning for you. And now you are a full theologian. And I myself, I have other plans for you. Although myself, in my mind, I had different plans. I said to him, I thought that my theological now degree, it's enough. Now I have to go back to my country and teach in a secondary school. And the reaction of the father was, now you have a lot to do still. Like, I asked him, what do you want me to do now? Now you have to go to the University of Oxford, and you have to meet Father Callistus Ware, who is a professor there. He's a British, and accordingly he will advise you what to do. With your qualifications, you will do now a doctoral degree. So you can imagine now how myself I felt, because Oxford was a very famous university, and the way I was thinking is that in that university all the intelligent people were attending, the prime ministers, future prime ministers of Britain, they were all from Oxford, and so many other famous people. And I was asking the father whether myself I was able to make it. He told me, yes, You will make it. You go meet Father Callistos and then come back to see me. So I went. I met now the future also Metropolitan Callistos were very famous in the English-speaking, especially, and not only English-speaking, but all over the world, because he was a famous professor. He has written so many books, and so I went to him. I presented my papers from Paris, and immediately he reacted by telling me that you are already a candidate. You will come and you will do your doctoral studies here with me. And the only thing, because you are a foreigner, we need to have an assurance that you have the money to study here in this famous university. This is a rule which is there. So I decided to go back to Father Sophrony now to tell him about my meeting with Callistos where. So I went, and of course the money which they were asking in those days for us, it was, when I say for us in Cyprus, was a lot of money, 1,500 British pounds. In those days, it was a very big amount. So I was thinking that is not possible for me. How to get this money? Who will give me such an amount of money every year to study? So Father Sophrony, when I went there, he reacted in a very peaceful way that, don't worry, the money are already there. You will go and you will meet Archbishop Makarios, the Archbishop and President of Cyprus. So I was not myself sure whether it is possible for a young man to go and meet the President and at the same time the Archbishop. So, following his instructions and his advice, I went. And finally, I was given an appointment to meet the Archbishop, and I carried with me my papers, university papers, and I was thinking now how to tell him that I need such an amount of money for my doctoral studies. So while I was talking to him, himself, he was holding my papers, my degrees from Paris. He looked at those papers and he said to me that, what about to do a PhD? He said to me. This was his, before myself, I asked him that is the reason why I wanted to see him. He told me, yes, I see you love so much to study. You are a good student, he said to me. I said, yes, I love very much to study. And do you have any invitation from any university so you can do your PhD? And of course, it was a gift from above for me already to see that the Archbishop was ready to assist me. But I was thinking very much deeply that the amount is a huge amount of money. So yes, I said I have an invitation from the University of Oxford, but to me it is a very expensive amount. It's a very expensive university. The amount which they are asking me to pay, it's a huge amount which I cannot afford. How much is it? He asked me, the Archbishop. I said to him 1,500 British pounds. He said in a very polite and peaceful way, I will take care of you, he said to me. So you can imagine now how happy I was. Immediately I was given a check by the Archbishop of 500 British pounds to prepare myself for my new life in Oxford, to buy my ticket and also to buy other things which I needed, for example, clothes and other things. So I went, and of course I arrived directly in Essex to meet Father Sophronius. So entering his office, the father already knew, and he was laughing in a very peaceful way by telling me that I knew. That is why I decided to send you to him, that he will accept to assist you. So you can imagine now another miracle taking place in my life. So I started, my studies in the university with Timothy Ware, Callistus Ware, of course, and I was meeting from time to time the Archbishop when he was traveling, going around because he was the president, he was visiting different countries, I was attending conferences, so we were meeting. And in the middle of my studies, already the Archbishop thought about me going to Africa, without, of course, asking me. Yes, already in his mind that this young man, he will be the right person to send him there, where myself I want to do the mission work. Meaning this seminary where we are. So at one point, around 1975, yes, he brought to me the idea. I have constructed in Kenya a theological seminary, and I'm looking for somebody to go there and be the first director of the seminary. And I thought that you are the right person to go and open the seminary. So you can imagine now myself, after all, studying in Oxford and publishing my first historic essays in different theological periodicals and scientific, actually, periodicals, I became somehow very egoistic about my, let us say, qualifications. If I was able already to publish a number of studies, historic studies, and this was my era, the area of history of the church, etc. I was doing a lot of research. I was going to different libraries in Europe, in the then Soviet Union, through my friend now, Bishop Kirill. I was doing a lot of research in Russia and Ukraine, and planning to publish a book, which I did. I will show you later on. I have a copy of the book. And finally, I reacted, of course, in a very negative way. Your beatitude. In Cyprus we have so many theologians, we have so many priests, so many monks. Why you have chosen myself to go to Africa? Now myself, I am thinking that I might be one day a very famous professor. This was my egoistic now plan. You know, a young man having a PhD from the University of Oxford. It was a very special, of course, qualification to be a professor easily in any of the universities in Europe. He said to me in a very simple way, I have my reason, he said to me. I kept quiet, but I was definitely negative to his proposal. So I decided to go and speak to Father Sophronius. So I went to meet Father Sophronius and to tell him about the plans of the Archbishop. In a very, I can say, ironic way to him that after all, who I am today, you see, now the Archbishop is thinking to send me to Africa. Can you imagine? In this way, I was telling Father Sophronius, and Father Sophronius, in a very serious way, he invited me to kneel in front of him. So, which I did. And with his right hand, he blessed me in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Now, Andreas, that was my name before my ordination, now you have to go to Africa. Africa is waiting you to go there. So you can imagine now, if my father confessor for so many years was telling me that I have to go to Africa, I have no other choice. I could not say no. Although in my heart I was doubting very much. So I went back to the Archbishop now to tell him that I am now ready. I will try to present my thesis to the university as early as possible, and then I will be ready after graduation to go to Africa and see what you want me to do there. So 1976 already I was really in a position to present my doctoral thesis. I did it. I had my exams, and I have to mention just for historic purposes that my examiners were two very famous history professors. Professor Sir Stephen Runciman, who is very famous all over the world, because he has written so many books about history of Eastern Orthodoxy in English. One of them, the captivity of the great church, the church in captivity, etc. And the other one was a famous Jesuit, also very famous historian, church historian, Joseph Gill. So they were both my examiners. So you can imagine now how I felt where I knew that I'm going to be examined by two very famous historians. What to tell them now if they have any issue with my thesis. And finally, I had my exams in the examination schools in Oxford there, and they were asked, of course, they were having a number of questions about the way I have done my research, and I presented my thesis, and I think I was able to answer to their questions, and I left them without knowing, of course, whether I did well or not. I went back to Father Sophronius again, to tell him about the outcome, let us say how the exam was with them, and I received his blessings to go and meet now Archbishop Makarios and tell him that now I am ready to go to Africa. So I went, I met the Archbishop. The only thing which was now remaining was my graduation. And the graduation was already coming the following year, 1977, I think 30th of July. So I met the Archbishop, and the Archbishop was so happy and already had such an enthusiasm that I am ready now to go to Africa, that tomorrow you are flying back, you are going now to Africa. The following day, he said to me, you will go, we will find out about the flights, and you will be going there to see the place, and then you will tell me whether you like the place to stay or not. So, truly, I left him, and in 2 or 3 days, I was already flying to come to Nairobi. Yes, so quickly. So I arriving, of course, here in Nairobi. I was with the future Archbishop, because I was a young man. I knew nobody here, but the Archbishop, the successor to now Archbishop Makarios, was his assistant bishop when he visited Kenya in 1970, 1971, to lay the foundation stone of the theological seminary here where we are. So he knew many people here, especially the African leaders. So he was here during my stay for 10 days actually, and the Archbishop, the future Archbishop, was not sure whether I will be ready to stay in Africa. So after 10 days himself, he was going back. So the last day, he asked me the question, are you ready? We are going back tonight to Cyprus. I reacted and I said to him that you are going, not myself. Myself, I decided already that I'm not going anywhere else. I will stay here. Are you sure? He said to me. I said, yes. I made already my mind, and I'm not going anywhere else. Tell the Archbishop that I have already decided that this is a place where I'm going to stay. So he went, and myself, I was left alone here. So I spent January, February, March, April, June, July, and then before going for my graduation, which was, as I said before, I think 30th of July, 1977, I decided to pass through Cyprus to meet the Archbishop and to explain to him more about my decision to stay here in Africa. So really I went, and I went with the then Metropolitan of Paphos, the future Archbishop now. He took me to him, and 3 of us, we had a meeting, and there was another revelation there, which again shows that Father Sophrony was aware about it. Already he knew. So the Archbishop, that very day, before I opened my mouth to speak, he said to me, allow me that the reason why I mentioned to you when we met, and I announced to you that I want you to go to Africa, and I have a special reason. So that very day, he confessed to us the reason why he wanted me to come here. And it is there where myself, I believed that God is really speaking to some people in a very special way, the Holy Spirit. Both minds of the late Archbishop and Saint Sophorony today, they were communicating through the Holy Spirit. Because, and I can say that both of them, they were in a kind prophets. That's what I can use to see that there was coincidence or that was the plan of God, and that the minds of both holy men were communicating in a very special way, unknown to us, through God. So the Archbishop told me that let me explain to you why I insisted. And you know, the Archbishop was delaying, because myself, when he mentioned the issue to me, I was telling him, but there are so many people, you can find them easily. But he said, no, I don't need anybody else. I need you only, because I have my reason. This was his answer. So today I will tell you why. That very day, by telling me that I believe that you are the right person to go and take care of my plans, how to spread Orthodoxy in Africa. Because myself, I have done the work there by baptizing the 5,000 people, by speaking to the people there in Kenya, by constructing the theological seminary. Now I feel that God will take care and God will direct you what to do. And I'm sure you're going to do the right thing. And imagine now, I was still myself a layman and also a young man, you see. But the Archbishop, actually the day when I was speaking with him before my graduation, 30th of July, it is just before I left Cyprus to go for my graduation. And he said to me, without knowing myself, of course, himself, as I said, it seems that he was a holy man. In 3 days after my graduation, it is when he died. Believe it or not, God is doing these kind of things in our lives, and ourselves, we are not aware and we are not ready to accept that God is really planning, which means that the Archbishop already, because the way he spoke to me that very day, by telling me that, you see, Andreas, myself, I might not meet you again because I'm going. And because I'm going there, pointing heavens, I am now going in peace, that you will be there to continue the work which myself I was not able to fulfill while I was here on earth. I will be up there. But I will be following you, and I will be rejoicing that I have somebody who is ready to accept and carry that heavy cross. So this was another revelation from above, because after my graduation, yes, it was a wonderful day, and believe it or not, present during my graduation were my two classmates, the successor of Father Sophrony and now the famous higher monk Zacharias. Both of them, they came on behalf of Saint Sophorony to witness my graduation. And I think that means a lot to all of us, and to see that God is really present. Ourselves, we are not worthy to say that, yes, He's present, He's moving around us, He's there, He's doing His work, and that shows that we should not make our own decisions, but as I said before, we allow God to do His own plans, to fulfill. He has good plans for each and everybody of us, because myself, I never thought that one day I might become the Archbishop, because I was just a layman, a simple human being, and a young theologian, nothing else. And I was not having any plan to do it, to see that I might be the Archbishop. But still, the story continues. Yes, the story continues. After spending 15 years here in Africa as a layman now, I was going to Essex for confession, to meet Father Sophrony. And the last time when I met with him, it was in, I can check my diaries, I would find the details in my diaries, but it was in December 1991 when I went for my last confession to the Father, the future Saint Sophorony. So during that time, he took me around, and he said to me, "Today, Andreas, I have a very special need to speak to you of a very serious issue." So you can imagine now, myself, I never knew that soon he will depart from our earthly life. So he opened his mouth by telling me, "Listen very carefully of what I'm going to tell you today. Very soon you will be a bishop." So you can imagine now, I was a theologian, I was a young lay person now, and I asked him the question, "Father, I am not even a deacon yet. How is it possible that I myself to become a bishop? Do you think that it is possible, the Holy Synod, to elect a person who is still a layman to priesthood or to become a bishop?" He told me, "Yes, Andreas, this was the plan of God from the very beginning when I was talking to you." How many years ago? 25 years ago. The first time, isn't it? When I met him for confession, he mentioned to me that God has another plan for you. So he knew already, I think, from that time, what will be my future life. I tried to explain to him again and again that, Father, it's not possible for a layman to become just like that a bishop. But still, he was insisting by telling me, and don't reject the proposal. The proposal is coming very soon to you. So what to say now? Myself, listening to him, okay, if this is the will of God, and this is what you are telling me now, that this is the plan of God, I have to keep quiet and accept. Although, in my heart, humanly speaking, it was not possible for a layman to be a bishop. So I left him. I came back to Kenya, where I found the new patriarchal exarch of East Africa, the future patriarch of Alexandria, Petros VII. He was now the bishop here. So, because myself, I was already very well known in East Africa, and I knew all the places, the bishop requested me to take him around East Africa. So we visited Kenya, we went to Tanzania, we went to Uganda. I took him around to see the people, to see the parishes, and to see how far we are as Orthodox in East Africa. So one night, as we were walking during the night, and there was no electricity in those remote areas where we were spending our nights and days. So as we were walking, the future patriarch told me that, you know something, Andreas, the best way, the way now I know East Africa, is for you to accept to become a bishop. So I again reacted by telling him, but you see, Your Eminence, I am a layman. I am not even a deacon again. How you think the Holy Synod will elect a layman to be a bishop? He told me yes. So here I have seen another revelation, that the bishop, the Archbishop, was already sure that I am to be the one to become the Archbishop. I was trying to, again, in our human understanding, that it is not possible for the Holy Synod to elect a lay person to be a bishop. But he told me, for sure, it is upon God. And you will make the decision. So I was remembering now, in my mind, the words of Father Sophronios, who was insisting, and he was 100% sure, emphasizing to me, when they will propose to you that you have to become a bishop, don't say no. Accept the proposal. So I have no other wise. I have no choice. So I finally told the Archbishop that if you think that it is possible, then I have to tell you, proceed. I am ready. But again, I was doubting that it was not possible for a layman. But as I said, because the late Archbishop and future Patriarch was insisting, in the same way that Father Sophronios was telling me, don't say no, don't reject the proposal. So the future Patriarch, Metropolitan Petros of Accra in those days, he left Kenya. He went, he told me, I'm not coming back. Now you are in charge of East Africa. I was a layman now. He said to me, I have so much work to do in West Africa, so now we might meet when you will be already an elect bishop, he said to me. Do the work, continue with the seminary, your work, and with the churches here and with the priests, do what is necessary, and we will meet in the near future. So he went. So the Holy Synod of the Patriarchate met, I think, in May 1992. So one morning, as I was seated, the office of the Archbishop was inside this room here. We were there, and the bell, the telephone, in those days there were no digital mobiles. There were those lines. So the telephone rang, I took it, hello, and the one who was on the line was Patriarch, the late Patriarch Parthenios. So the Holy Synod was to meet that very morning. So the Patriarch wanted to hear from me now. So listen, Andreas, he said to me, the Patriarch, soon the Holy Synod is meeting, and the Patriarchal Exarch is going to propose to the Holy Synod for you to be a bishop. How do you see? Do you accept? So you can imagine now my situation, my position. And I was again bringing in my mind the words of Father Sophronius, not to say no, but to accept the proposal. That was what he was telling. You accept the proposal to be a bishop. So I said to the Patriarch, Your Beatitude, thank you very much for your proposal. I will say yes. I will accept whatever the decision of the Holy Synod will be. Thank you very much. Andreas, my name was Andreas, so I was still a layman myself. And that was the end of the conversation with the Patriarch. The Holy Synod that very day, they met, of course, and I was elected as a bishop. So in the evening, again, the same telephone was ringing at around 7 in the evening, and I took the telephone, and again the Patriarch was speaking to me by telling me, Axios. You know, Axios means in Greek worthy. What we say when we are ordained or when we are elected. He said to me, the Holy Synod today elected you to be a bishop of Riruta. Riruta is the area where we are. This is the name of the area. So he said to me, the Holy Synod decided to give you the title of a bishop of that area. Congratulations. Now the Patriarchal Exarch will arrange when to come with 2 other bishops to consecrate you there in the seminary as a new bishop now. So I say thank you very much. Your Beatitude, convey to the members of the Holy Synod my gratitude and my thanks for electing me to be a bishop. But in reality, myself, I still doubting, and I never announced to anybody that I was elected. We were now in May. I kept quiet, and the only person I wrote, because the Father Sophronios was already sick, you know, he was very weak, and he was, because of his age, he was shivering like this. He could not write easily. But when I announced to him my election, he wrote to me a historic message, which I can read one day. I have it, with his own handwriting, and you can see he wrote it in Russian language. The hand was shivering like this, but he wrote it finally, asking me to forgive him that he's not able to write rightly, but he wrote it. I'm sure he made a lot of efforts to write that note to me after my election as a bishop. So after 2 months, in July 1992, the patriarchal exar arrived here together with our other two bishops. On Monday, I was ordained as a deacon, on Tuesday as a priest, and on Saturday here in this chapel as a bishop. And of course, I was not having the beard. No, I was not having even, no. And actually, when I went to welcome the Archbishop Petros, the future patriarch, when he met me, he asked me the question, "You mean you don't have the beard? I'm going to ordain you tomorrow to be a bishop, and you are not having the beard." I said to him, "I don't believe yet. I'm not sure whether until I see you ordaining me." So this was the end, and of course a prophecy of the late Saint Sophronios. The prophecy which started actually when I first met him in 1966. Yes. So we thank God. And we are here, and we are under the protection and under the wings of the angels and the Holy Spirit. So this is the end. Yes.
Wonderful.
So I think for today, I think it's enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Isn't it?
I agree.
Because, it was very fresh when I came out from my bed, isn't it? And after taking, without having any other issue, and it was easy for me to speak.